Okay, well, thanks so much for joining me, ladies. And for those of you that are watching the replay, I appreciate your time. So, as you're probably aware, there was a little bit of a mix-up where everyone thought that they were buying a recipe book and then they were getting invited to this event. So it's just how the system worked. And so I thought, well, it'd be a perfect opportunity to have a quick chat with you and share a little bit in person about this book, where it came from, and a little bit more about, the recipes and the food and all of that, because I'm sure you're very much aware that I cook a little different to that sort of mainstream food. And so in this video, I wanted to share with you why that is, to help you understand and also to embrace this food and these recipes a lot more as well. So I'll just start a little bit on my story because there's quite a few people that I don't even know. And so it's quite funny, actually. Well, it's not funny at all because my granddad just died on Monday. So that's not funny, but the reason why it's funny now is because we had 6 months with him as he was dying to say goodbye. So we spent a lot of time saying goodbye and telling him what we thought, that we loved him and everything like that. So when I found out on Monday that he had passed away, I was sad for my dad because he lost his dad and I would hate to lose mine. But I wasn't sad for granddad because granddad was gone, and my whole story starts is when I was 9 years old and my other granddad died. Now, I didn't initially think about this when I was 9 years old, it didn't pass my mind. But because his passion was sparked when I was 9 years old, and I've continued to follow my heart and do and live this life and learn and learn and learn and just embrace this way, one day in this sort of personal development work where I was going into sort of how I was showing up in the world and how I felt about things, it came to me very clearly that when my granddad died, I decided then how I wanted to learn how we could live forever. Now, I know, and I always say this now, that, we're physically a spirit and a human body. And so that I believe this time on this physical plane, in this earth, in this body we've been gifted, gets to be a long, healthy, vibrant, energetic, and amazing life. And we get to choose that. And so for me, what I've been doing my whole life is learning, literally since that day. Little did I know that at that time what I was doing, but I started embarking on this journey of learning how we can physically live forever. Now, so when my granddad died at 9 years old, I was so scared of death and I was just so detached from it because I was so attached to the physical body and to the human form that I couldn't comprehend that he'd died. At that age, when I was 9 years old, not only that, but he died a slow death. He suffered because he smoked. He had so many emotional burdens from the war and everything he saw and experienced. He lost his leg, then it got cut off somewhere else, and then he had gangrene. Well, that's why he got cut off, all of this. And then eventually he just died. He couldn't walk for however many years. I can't remember when I was a kid, but I just remember him right then in that moment that I wanted to learn how we could live forever. So long story short, but I think it's good for you to sort of get the background because it helps you to sort of really start to embrace where of this way of life has come from and to feel into how much more of it could be the truth for you as well. So yeah, and what I feel looking back on that now is that, it was because granddad died a really slow, painful death in a way. And I felt there's so many things that we could have been doing in that moment for him to live a better life. And so that's what I'm getting at now. I know we can't live forever. I know we're all going to leave this physical plane. But what I'm focusing on now is how we can prolong our health while we're here, so that we do live well, we do have energy, we do feel great, we don't suffer in any way, we don't have to take pharmaceutical drugs at any point in our life, that we learn how we can physically take control of our own bodies and essentially stay well, or be so empowered in the belief that if you do get sick, that there's people out here, myself, Rosie's doing amazing things in this field as well, natural and alternative health practices, that there's so many people out there that know how if we create something within our body, we can then remove it and heal it. And so, yeah, that's the journey. And it actually started when I was 13 years old. I used to go to the library and get books out on food. That started with food, and how we could, what food did for the body, the benefits of the vitamins, the minerals, and herbs, spices, nuts, seeds. I wrote out, and this is the book. This is the book I started when I was 16 years old. So it's, I'm nearly 36, so yeah, nearly 20 years ago I started this. So it's like, this isn't just, I haven't just written this recipe book off the cusp, It's been a long time coming. But, here, and I wrote down, like, where to find various things, deficiencies, B vitamins, where to find it, B6, B12, everything like that. And I looked through this and I was like, other names for sugar, and then natural alternatives, other names for fats, and how we can find them hidden in our food and other alternatives. And I'm like, man, I was brilliant back then. So committed to my study. But anyway, so in this learning, I started to discover that fresh fruit and vegetables, whole ingredients, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, and everything like that, they actually provided nourishment to the living cells within our body. And it made perfect sense to me that if we were going to eat, which we have to do because we need energy to burn, to live, that we get to choose what we eat, and why not choose the best things for us? And so, along this journey, I've realised, like, I was really lucky where I grew up in New Zealand because we didn't have fast food. Like, the fast food for us was fish and chips at the time, and a family of 4, one wage, fish and, it wasn't like we were going out for $200 dinners. And we didn't ever do that. It was fish and chips. We got that once a month, and Mum would make a big salad with it, and that was sort of like our treat meal and all of that. And so these are sort of things that I remember. So I wasn't really exposed to that. Plus, Mum and Dad grew all their own food. And so I know I've got an advantage here. But I just get to share this because, like, I live, and I've experienced this way that makes us feel amazing. And along this journey, I've realised that there's a few things that are best avoided. Okay, and in my book here, I write it at the back, that all of the food is free of any gluten, dairy, meat, sugar, grains, and eggs, and also free of any processing. Okay, now, sometimes people hear about that and they're like, well, what on earth would you eat? But one of the biggest things that I say to people is focus on what you can have and not what you can't. And that's in every aspect of your life. Because if you're like, oh, I can't have this, oh, it's all too hard, I'm just not going to do it. Whereas if we're like, oh, wow, okay, I can easily add a smoothie to my day. I can easily add a juice to my day. I can easily have a salad with a meal. I can easily have more vegetables at dinner. All of these really simple things. It's like, oh, we can slowly start to, add some simple changes. So we also talk about, like, I haven't talked about in the book, obviously, because it's just recipes. But I mentioned in one of my posts, the best place to get our vitamins, minerals, nutrients, enzymes, macronutrients, which is just your fat, protein, and carbohydrates, and then your micronutrients, which go more into your iron and your calcium, your vitamin B, C, E, all of these. Like, yeah, sure, we can focus on all of that, but if we're focusing on eating a diet that's whole, that's made up of whole food, that's preferably organic, and I'll talk more on that shortly, that's got no processing, that's food in its natural state, that's made up of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, then we don't even need to worry that we're missing out on anything. We're getting enough fats, we're getting enough protein, we're getting enough everything that we need, carbohydrates. Now, the biggest thing, there's a lot of hype around the dairy and the meat industry. Now, me personally, I don't eat it and I don't promote it, but because I like to think about how we can eat to heal and be really well. And the trouble is that we all know that the dairy and the meat industry are now industries. So it's just mass produced to make us to give us the food, and how they go about that with the hormones and the raising, the milk, and all the rest of it, antibiotics. It gets into the milk, it gets into the meat, and it gets into our bodies, and they just don't go down well with us. If you are someone that feels that you really need dairy in your diet, or you really need meat, I'm not one to tell you otherwise, but just make sure that you're getting a source and you know where it's coming from. Maybe it's from the local organic dairy, or you can go to an organic market or a farmer's market or something like that, and that's probably the best option. If you've got any questions anytime, feel free to ask. But yeah, I touched sort of briefly before on organic and commercial farming, and I think we're all in this day and age very, very aware of the difference. So organic simply means that the seed sources doesn't come from GMO crops. So that means that, the seeds have been made in a lab using man-made stuff, which no longer makes it real, and then we're producing a food which is no longer real. So when we're eating it, sure, if it's, wheat's one of these things that's very commonly done like that, corn, soy, cotton seed, oil, those sorts of things. So these are a few ones that we want to be aware of. You really can't get something that's safe these days. And it's not the wheat this problem that's causing all the celiac. It's the gut health from all the pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and processed foods and artificial man-made stuff and antibiotics and everything that's being pumped into the body, and the body just can't cope. Not to mention that the wheat is one of the most over-processed industries as well in the world. And so unfortunately, if we are eating the wheat, that's going to irritate our gut lining absolutely automatically. So we just get to know that as well. So I don't believe celiac is a wheat thing. I believe it's the fact that there is the wheat in the diet, but because wheat's so highly inflammatory and it's mainly found in a lot of processed foods, then as soon as it's eaten, it just flares up our already highly inflamed digestive system, and so that gets the blame. When celiac to me is just inflammation of the gut, and the fastest way and easiest way to heal inflammation of the gut is to eat all of the food that I've given you in my recipe book. Anyway, I wasn't about to say that, but I was like, that's actually the truth, because all of this food in here is actually free from all of these things. So we get to enjoy all the good stuff. Like we have the chocolate mousse. It really tastes amazing. Once you've popped it in the freezer for a couple of hours or overnight, it's just beautiful. Like it's creamy, it's thick, it's delicious. The hash browns, you can turn those into veggie patties just by changing the ingredients in there and that sort of thing. Make them into veggie balls and do the tomato reduction with veggie balls, But that's sort of like having homemade burgers. Instead of having the processed mince, sometimes even bought patties from the shop, we've now got these wholesome veggie patties and load them up, so it's just really small changes. Blissfuls are a great one, a staple to have in any fridge, because often we are in a hurry, in a rush, and we run to the fridge, what can we eat? If we've got a container of Blissfuls in there, we can pick one of those out and possibly a piece of fruit, and we've got ourselves a delicious meal that's going to nourish us straight away. So I'll just check an update on how we're going. Great. So moving on to the book, like I just talked about the recipe, the ingredients, this is literally what it is. And so really the whole concept of this is I've wanted to write a recipe book I started writing one when I was 26, so that's 7 years ago, but I'd been thinking about it a few years before that. And then last year I did up this ebook, and I sent it out as part of a live webinar. So if you are sort of having trouble grasping the concept of making these recipes, and you feel like you would like to have a live video of me in the kitchen for 2 hours making all of the first part, not the bonus recipes, but all the recipes up until then you can purchase that anytime. It's just $33, and you get a copy of the webinar and all the other handouts, one without photos and various other things. So yeah, you can get that if you want some additional support. But it just goes to show how we can make everything that we sort of are programmed to eat, but in a healthy way. So the thing is, like I said before, we focus on what we do get, not what we don't. And so we still get to have everything. Like if we love banana pancakes, the recipe's not in here, so I bloody shouldn't have said it. But what I'll do is when I send this link out, I'll send you the recipe for banana pancakes. I'll write that down. But you know, anything with the banana pancakes with the cinnamon cream, which is in here. You could serve it with fruit salad. You know, smoothies, juices are my staple start of the day, because it literally just nourishes our cells, and it just gives us, hello, welcome. I'm just going to mute you so that, okay. Anyway, sorry, I just went a little bit off track then. Now, what was I talking about before Amy jumped on? Sorry.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, I've just muted you so nobody, so the background noise isn't too much, but I think what I was talking about was that I just put this into like an ebook, and after the webinar, I put this into an ebook, and then I resold it this year because it was Christmas. It was like Christmas meals, things that we ate at Christmas time, plant-based Christmas recipes it was called. And then I thought, oh, I'll get it printed for them. And I printed them and gave some out as presents. And then everyone was like, I want one, I want one, I want one. I was like, okay, well, I better get it printed again. So I sent it off to the printers, and that's how this one came about. Now, it is, all the photos are done on my iPhone. I actually did the whole thing, and I don't even use a computer, so I don't even know how I did this. Like, I must have just been tuning into the computer. I was like tuning into the intelligence of the computer doing this. But anyhow, so next I do plan on making an even better one next up. But to the point, the reason why I've chosen these ingredients is purely because we were talking about before. Our body recognizes them as soon as we eat them, and we get the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, and everything that our body requires to be well. So I believe there's then only two things, or actually three now, like I spoke briefly at the start. There's two things that cause us to be unwell, and that's toxicity, deficiency, and also not dealing with emotions. So built up emotions and things that we're holding on to from the past, and experiences that no longer serve us, or stories that we're still believing, actually do have a negative effect on our body and can show up in physical pain and also cellular degeneration. So keeping that in mind, if you're eating these foods every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're having a smoothie once or twice a week and a juice every other day or whatever, I truly believe there's no way you can be deficient in anything. Okay, the only thing that I would touch on is if you believe that your gut health is out of balance, like we talked about before, you have any health conditions whatsoever, or your gut's hypersensitive and that you react to wheat, or you're celiac, or you've got gut inflammation in any way, then eating a diet like this, and I probably recommend something a little bit more specific, but starting on this is the fastest and best way to support your body to heal. And depending on where you want to go from there, I can share more very soon. Now, the last few things that I said that I'd talk about was the benefits of real food and using food as medicine. And I think they tie together really nicely, because like I talked about before, anything that's man-made in a lab, or that's got anything made from synthetic ingredients, chemicals, man-made something or rather, our body doesn't recognize it, and it's purely a toxin into our system. So every time we put things like that in, we actually have to detox our body in order to be functioning optimally. So this is another reason why I just love eating whole food, sharing whole food, and inspiring people to eat more like this, because when we're eating like this, our body is literally using the food as medicine. And we all know, I mean, we couldn't even touch on the amount of vitamins, minerals, enzymes that's available to us in an apple, the amount of vitamin C, the amount of vitamins, just in eating that one apple. And then we get to compare that No worries, Rosie. Thanks. I'll send you the rest of it. So, you know, or we could have that as something like crackers or something processed out of a packet or something like that, which is literally sort of dead food, doesn't have any vitamins, minerals, enzymes, or if it does, they're fortified or they are processed, so they've no doubt been killed. So it's just like when we look at food in this context, we can still enjoy the amazing things like crackers and chocolate mousse and, you know, dips and things like that, but everything that we actually eat is nourishing our body from the inside out. And I won't go too much more into it because I did just want to keep this within that half an hour. But I invite you to sort of do your own research, because I've learned literally all of this from doing my own research because I was passionate about it for myself in order to share with other people. And I really believe that we learn best by following our inner guidance and looking into things a little bit more in depth. So I just wanted to share a few things before we finish up, and that's some people that I follow. One is Don Tolman, a good friend of Amay and I's, and Tyler as well, which is his son. Now, in my new recipe book as well, I actually spoke to Don and he let me put in his Kabbalah juice recipe, which is so cool. And he also wanted me to put in the rainbow cleanse, but I felt that that was just a little bit too much for my first book and that I'd like to save that for my second one, because my second one as well, I also want to take up a next level into more cleansing and nourishing and detoxing foods, whereas this is your everyday staples, eating, you know, delicious stuff, you know, which is always delicious, but it's just a little bit more on the cleansing side. And that's the amazing thing about food, is we can use it to support our bodies in whatever way we desire. So we talked about Don Tolman and Tyler Tolman. The medical medium is also someone that I follow. I mean, I'll probably only just share those three because it gives you something to work with. And if you've got ones as well, then by all means, you share those with other people. So I put on the back of my book, may you live a long, healthy life and always share your knowledge with those around you, because that's how we inspire others. You know, it's just by simply sharing the way we choose to live our life with the people nearest and dearest. Or like I'm choosing is to sort of be a little bit more broadcasting by sharing my book and doing events and things like that. Now, I also offer opportunities to work together, work with me, and stay in touch. So I do have a Facebook page, which you've all contacted me through, but it is Dayna P. Williams. And I will be writing another book, so you can keep your eye out for that. That's not too far away, but we'll give myself 6 months. I don't want to put any pressure on myself, but I have actually outsourced every single thing to other people, so I don't have anything to do with it, which is going to be really great because I can just say yay or nay, but I don't have to do the work that I don't like. And the other thing, I run a Detox and Cleanse Your Body Naturally program. So it is only $111 to join, and once you're in there, you're there for life. And I run cleanse programs 5 to 6 times a year, anywhere from 5 days to 14 days. Now, during that time, I'll be there present in the group, sharing live videos, chatting to you, sharing different things, all about how we can naturally support our bodies. So like in my book, I use only real food. I do the cleansing as well, the cleansing and detoxifying process, using only real food, juices, smoothies, plants, whatever level you're at, you get to choose. There's a webinar available to you, a full handout, so you can learn all about it and what the levels. So there's 10 levels of detoxer. So you can be a beginner or advanced and join us anytime. So if you feel that would be beneficial for you, then please reach out. I'd love to support you. And I also do one-on-one wellness consults. So I can, you know, I just talk to people about their food habits and how they can support their body to, you know, most people wanting to change habits, you know, they're stuck in some old ways. They know there's something that's not serving them. They haven't been able to change it, or they've got some health condition. And I mean, like I said, I'm no qualified doctor, but I've just invested my whole life in learning what we can do to support our bodies to heal. And so can you hear us? Sorry, I'll just quickly ask Kathy. Anyway, so I'll continue talking. I support people in that way. I also do personal chefing, so I work with 3 families a week, and their most exciting news is that I'm actually in the process of opening a commercial kitchen so that I can do expand my services and provide this food. Instead of in-house catering, I'm going to be doing, you can order and I'll deliver to the door. So I'm just going to have maybe 5 to 10 customers doing that, so that they get those people that, don't want to cook it for themselves can have them do it for them. However, that is only on the Gold Coast, Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast at this stage. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. The last thing that I wanted to share with you, and the biggest takeaway for you, I guess, is the more you can eat fruit and vegetables and whole foods, maybe simply by adding a juice or a smoothie or one of these recipes to your day, that's going to be the best thing that you can do for your body starting right now. And as you will see by following me on Facebook and those sorts of things, the more colourful foods we eat, the more we are covering all aspects of our health, okay? And then we get we get to know that we have less of a chance of getting any disease, because our body has all the vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and everything it needs to keep us well. And that's all from me. If anyone has any questions, feel free, or if anyone wants to say a few words, I'm just going to unmute you.
You rock, babe.
Hey, Dale. How are you?
Good. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Do you have any questions for us, or?
I can't wait to read it and start cooking with it.
Great. Hello. Anyway, I'll just finish this up. I'll just check the questions. I'll just finish up before. Okay, so thanks so much everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoy the cookbook, and I would absolutely love to see your recipes. Feel free to message them through to me or Messenger, text, call me and let me know how they're going. And if I can be of support to you in any way, then please reach out. Have an amazing life, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.